I welcome Zoheb Shaikh sir for this podcast. This is a kind of a podcast where, it's not about you doing an MBA. Forget the fact that you have done an MBA and now try to be an engineer. And if you think of all the DevOps people, they read just all these subjects which is there in the MBA, which is like operations management, whatnot, man. There is everything. I think probably it's always a manifestation to an improvement that is going through, because it's always that culture that we really want to demystify. It's always that one essence of human touch that we really want to add in the process, and we want to achieve something great. And I think, trust me, it's one of the biggest moments for any engineers to really advance in their career, really advance in the way they are portraying something for the tech world. Like something like, let me be an MBA grad, but I want to do something as a tech. What next? So I just want to improvise on everything that I'm supposed to be learning. And I'm with Zoheb sir. It's all about that honor of doing a podcast with somebody who is very much fascinated about tech. Don't worry, we will talk a lot of tech, but also just go back and listen to all his sessions. And it's going to be wonderful. So thank you so much, sir, for giving this podcast. And thank you so much for letting me learn something new from you.
Thanks, Vishwas, for having me here. I saw a few videos of yours, and I think it's great what you're doing. And yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are able to benefit from speaking with industry experts in envisioning where they want to go. So I think what you're doing is very good.
Sure. So let's just start with this journey of being a student. So, what was your journey as a student, and how did it influence you as a professional? Because that journey is going to pave our dreams, pave the way that we are going to think in the future. Everything for the future is just being molded there. Like that's how we get trained there. So, what was your journey as a student?
So, while I was growing up, I was never a bright student till probably my 10th. I think I secured about 71% or something like that till my 10th, in my 10th. So I was not a very bright student. I was just average, which could just, pass. So I would struggle, then pass. I have many friends who were like 90 plus, 95 plus, but I was not amongst them. But I had a lot of interest in computers since my childhood. So while I was in school and even after school, I had a lot of interest in computers. But what happened with me is I was trying to get close to computers, but then the destiny was such that I was not able to learn computers as much. So my story is kind of a little interesting of my journey of joining Microsoft and working at Microsoft. So after 12th, in Maharashtra we have MHCT, or at least back in those time, 15 years back or 14 years back, we used to have MHCT exams. So I appeared for MHCT. I had no background, I had no guidance on what you need to do, what kind of preparation you need to do, and stuff like that. So I just kind of prepared it all by myself by studying my 12 books, and then I appeared, which obviously meant that I didn't get very good marks in CT, which also meant I didn't get the stream of my choice. So I didn't get computers as the stream because my marks were low and I could only manage to get a mechanical engineering um, BE. Okay, so that's what I did. Then I went to the college and they said that, you know what, if you secure very good marks, then we might move you to computers, say, after first year, which I did, but then it never happened. So that was the moment wherein I was very depressed in life, because I was very interested in computers. Even in my 12th and before that, I was interested in coding. And like when you're 15, 17, you do some basic coding like HTML, Java, C++, those kind of basic codings I was doing. But I was pushed into a different field, and it was very, very depressing for me at that stage. So obviously I was doing okay in engineering, and then it was difficult for me. But then I somehow, because my father was from mechanical field, so he said, Forget now, focus on mechanical. That's where you need to make your career." So I said, "Fine." I started doing that. I did my second year. While I was in my third year, second sem, which is like the sixth sem of engineering, I got an opportunity to do internship through some referral. So there was a very good company in Pune. I got an opportunity to do internship with them. So internship was on the workshop floor. Okay. So no offense to any of the folks who are doing mechanical and who envision their career in mechanical. But when I visited the workshop, and of course there are different kinds of job you can do in mechanical also. But when I visited the floor, I was, it was like that filmy scene Vishwas, wherein there is sound everywhere and then you're lost. You don't know what to do, where to look, and you're completely lost. So I got an opportunity to do internship, which was very great. I was the only one from my college who got an opportunity. But then I said I didn't go there from second day onwards. So I came out. I was with a friend, and I told him that we can't do this. I'm not. I mean, there can be some jobs which would be better in mechanical, but and I'm sure these jobs are also quite good. But I'm not meant for doing this. So that was the third year, second semester, which is the sixth semester technically. I started studying computers from that day. Okay, so I joined some courses, C++ courses, development courses. I started studying a little bit more about hardware, and I also started studying about Microsoft technologies, mainly Windows Server and cloud technologies. I started studying about. When I studied for a couple of months, in my third year, second sem, somewhere in the middle, I knew that, what, I need to be here. Okay, so I exactly knew um, where I want to be after my engineering. And I knew that it was not mechanical. So I was in a position either to leave mechanical engineering or and join some other graduation, because you have to do graduation. I wanted to do graduation, or other option was to continue with mechanical engineering. But then I thought I'll just pass and then I'll study these things. So that was my intention. And then I studied for 1.5 years. I did a lot of courses, but my focus was mainly on Microsoft technologies, mainly around Windows Server, identity, security. That was my focus. And I knew where I wanted to land a job, what position I wanted to land a job, and how I will get there. So I kind of had the focus in my life at that point of time. And this is what I tell everyone, that IT is very big, it's very vast. It's very vast to get lost. So what happens is, after engineering, you complete your engineering and then you think that, what, do I need to do this? Do I need to do that? Which is a bit of a problem. Okay. So all the folks who are doing engineering, I'll tell you, you should have it in your mind clear by third year or max starting fourth year. What exactly do you want to do in engineering? Which field you want to do in engineering? What kind of jobs are there? Which companies are your target? If you focus, and if you out of 20 things, if you decide on one and then you start exploring one, you are able to concentrate and find out, and then try to build some connections into that field, basically. So that's what I did. So I did engineering, and then I before I could pass out, I got a placement also. I got a job also. I'm not going to name the company because I kind of left in a couple of months because I got my dream job just after that. So I gained so that was the job as a tester, okay, as a quality tester. But immediately after a couple of months, I got an opportunity in Microsoft. So I left, and yeah, that's when basically I joined Microsoft, which was like a dream. So yeah, to sum it up, I think what I will recommend to all the folks who are studying in third year, in fourth year, or who have already done fourth year, there are a few mistakes which I did. One was prepare for your entrances in advance. Okay, so don't wait for 12th to happen and then start studying. I'm sure now there are a lot of guidance, but 14, 15 years back, there was not much for me. Prepare for your entrances in advance. Find out and explore your interests, what exactly you want to do. And then while you're in engineering, envision and focus on what you want to do. Either you want to study after engineering, or you want to do something else, or you want to do a job. So focus is very, very, very important. If you focus, then you'll be able to, you'll have a better chance of succeeding. So, we have that concept of probability, which was like, what is the probability of achieving this when you have this? So the probability of achieving what you desire is more than being in the dark and trying to find out what exactly I need. So yeah, just try to find the right fit for you, and then work towards it to finding out how you can improve yourself on that.
That's true.
So
That's true. Because a lot of
mhm,
times, we are puzzled out. Like, IT is vast. Like, I just see like DevOps has so many tools. DevOps has so many tool chains to be explored. Like, everybody has their own way to enter a cloud. Like, some people
correct.
can say Jenkins is good. Some people can say GitHub Actions is good. But all of these lead to cloud. They are just the way in which you are just going to deploy. You are just going to your CI and CD, so on. So the way we are perceiving tech is different, because what you perceived exactly when you were studying as a mechanical student, what you saw in the Windows Server and all the cloud technologies was completely different, right? Because something like, okay, I've studied mechanical, I don't know anything, I know a little bit of C, so now let me just learn it from the basics. But now you need not have to go from the scratch. It's like boilerplate codes are really available to you. You can just make some changes here and there and start working here. And there is huge set of applications which are already built. SaaS applications are already there. But
Yeah.
I wanted your vision towards how is the world today perceiving tech? Because when you go to an AI scientist, he hypes about an AI algorithm, but he also hypes about the hardware which has to be improvised. But now when we go to a microservice person, he says that hardware is good, but yet we are supposed to make the software much more lighter, so on.
Yeah.
So today, when you see startups, they're taking on giants, like, because software is agile today, like it's just moving so fast, it's so swift
Correct.
in development. So how are we perceiving tech? Because you have seen a lot of startups, a lot of institutions and other companies, right? So what's our perspective today in perceiving tech?
So, this is how I look at it, and that's probably something which I personally feel. I feel the tech is so huge in today's world. There is space for everyone to be here. Like from a startup perspective, and I do work with quite a few startups also. In terms of what you can envision and what you can see from a technology, like primarily I'm working with cloud identity and security. So that's my SME area. So I work with mission critical customers in these fields, and we have gaps in these fields from a partner perspective or startup perspective or from knowledge perspective. Knowledge in the world, in the market, for the students. So there is a big gap which is out there. uh, I speak with some of my colleagues who are SMEs into data and AI and some of the other fields also, and I see similar observations. So what I build out of it is there's a lot of space. So be it data, be it AI, be it machine learning, security. Security is going huge. Cloud. There is a lot of scope for these things as well. So if you're someone who's envisioning what do I need to do from a tech perspective, uh, just just find out your interest into one of these fields and then try to grow yourself into this. It's not like, if you choose this then you'll have a better career, if you choose that you'll have a better career. There is plenty of scope in everything. Now whichever field you're working in, for example, security. try to find some niche area into that field, and that is something which will help you grow much faster. uh, like, in general, so if you're a developer, if you're doing same language, same things which other people are doing, then you're not kind of standing out. But if you find something niche which not a lot of people are doing, then you'll find you might be able to grow faster. Like in my case, so it was not intentional, but I happened to learn a niche technology which is called PKI, Public Key Infrastructure, which is basically your, when you browse a website, so it uses certificate based authentication. So I studied certificates quite a lot. Uh, Only when I studied it, I realized that, this is something which is very niche, and that kind of gave me an edge. So when I joined Microsoft, I'll tell you, one of the things which I used to love is traveling. So because of this niche area, almost every month I was traveling overseas. I was traveling to Australia, I was traveling to multiple countries in Southeast Asia. I almost finished my passport in 2 years. That's how much I traveled. But what I'm trying to say is, when you're envisioning technology, study something which is in demand, but also try to find out something niche which not a which has which might not have a lot of demand, but when there is a demand, that there's not a lot of people which are in that field also. Like, just to give you an example for PKI, when I studied PKI, I was like just in the early stage of my career. Tech Mahindra was hiring back then, and I just gave interview. I didn't go there, but when I was interviewed by Tech Mahindra with 1.5, 2 years of experience, they were not hiring my experience kind of people, but they still interviewed me because they could not find people of that skill. So I think that's more important, for the engineers, that learning something and then finding something niche which not a lot of people are able to do.
Yeah, that's true, because it's not about the complete hype that goes in the market. Hey, learn this, you're going to get a job. It's all about that essence of, gratitude. As soon as you hear that topic, okay, it might be something, but as soon as you learn about it, you should feel that, of course, this is going to be something huge. It's something like you just fall in love with it instantly, and that's going to really change your life forever. So you said about the cloud security and the identity. Of course, there is a lot of IAM roles, engineers, RBAC processes that we talk today. But
Mhm.
how is security and greatest golden standard of tech today? Because it's something like back then there was no VNets, but yet ports were being open at any given point, and there was hackers who could just do a metasploit payload and they can start working. But today, systems have become so intelligent that they can really detect what's going wrong to some extent.
Yeah.
Of course, we have a lot of platforms like monitoring, observability, and so on. So what is it all about when we are speaking about security today? Because there is n number of definitions for it, there's n number of processes to get through. It's not like it's something like you have 100 different ways to make your architecture more secure, but there will be 101 way in which people can really exploit that technology as well. So what is it all about when we're talking cyber security and cloud today?
So, first I'll give you some context. Okay. So for the people who are listening, why you might think security is something which might come. Okay. So Microsoft, I don't know if you've heard about this, but Microsoft has announced that it's going to invest $5 billion in the next 5 years in security alone. Okay. And that's like a R&D level cost, $5 billion. Similar announcements have been made by Google. So these tech giants, when they are investing such a big amount into security specifically, it goes to show the emotion of the market, that there is huge potential in security. So if you're envisioning security, CISSP, or some of the other certifications of security, you will have a good opportunity in the next 4 5 years. I still feel that we are growing in security. It's just a so how cloud was 5 years back. I think security is in a similar way today. It's just starting up with so many attacks coming in, and so many things, creating problems for the entire world. Security is becoming a major worry for organizations, and that's where they're looking at a lot of partners, which obviously generates employment from an engineering perspective also. So they're looking at having these kind of skill sets and developing security practices in the world. In general, if I have to tell you, this is so huge that there were about 50 million passwords which were compromised in 2019 alone. That's huge. And now if you see, if you're using Apple or some of the other devices, you might see the intelligence which these devices bring in. Like, I got a notification stating that, one of the passwords which you used, because I saved my passwords in my wallet, so it was hacked, or it was available. It was one of the commonly used passwords, so you need to change it and stuff like that. So this is something which is very crucial from an organizational perspective. And I think from overall perspective also, it's going to be a big thing, which is going to come up. Yeah, and I think especially if you're interested in Microsoft world, there are two things which Microsoft is focusing right now. One is cloud, and the second is security. So previously we used to focus on licensing, but that has changed. So Microsoft used to sell licenses, but now the focus is not towards selling licenses. It's towards selling cloud products and ensuring that they are secure. Okay. So if you look at our cloud products, be it like Defender for Endpoint, Defender for Identity, Cloud App Security, you name it. So there are products available for security products available for every tools and services which you're going to use. You spoke about, VNetting, RBAC control, and things like that. And there is a need. So I'll stop talking and probably give us just a small example here. So back in the day, and still for some organization, the security was like a perimeter security. You had a few. So even like, imagine the old kingdoms which we used to have. So to protect their people, okay, and the population of the country, what they would do is they will build. I don't know what you call that in English. We call this killa in Hindi. What is the English word for the boundary which they make? Anyways, so back in the old days, you would build big boundaries, big walls outside the kingdom to protect the people who are residing inside, and then you would just bomb if anyone is trying to attack you. The idea behind that was perimeter security. So the idea was, back then we didn't had any planes or any aerial bombings which could disturb you. People would walk, people would use their horses, elephants to get to attack, right? This was the idea of perimeter security. Previously, like our father's generation or whatever, they never heard about work from home. You would have never heard about work from home from them. So what was security for them? Security was going to office. The office was very secure. There was firewall. These things were there. But in today's world, like, I'm working from home. Sometimes I work from Starbucks. Sometimes I'm working from airport. Sometimes I'm just working from my phone. So there is no boundary for you to lay. Okay. So this is the change which the tech has brought, especially since COVID. You know, COVID has made a lot of changes in the way we work. Still, there are a lot of organizations who are not doing it. Now, of course, when you're working from home, there are two things which come in. Is the is one is, which is very crucial, which, because you're outside your environment, security becomes very important. You want to be able to secure your devices. You want to be able to protect the users who are connecting from an unprotected network, like an open Wi-Fi. How do you do it? How do you find out detection mechanisms? I think that's what is crucial in today's world. So the concept of any device, anywhere, bring your own device, these kind of things, these things becomes extremely important. for organization, and which of course generates the need for having a more robust and secure environment, which of course means that you will see a lot of security products coming into the market.
Yeah, we are now talking about deployment at scale, but there is a reason for everything to be made secure. Like, we are now looking for a solution to make serverless applications more secure, because what if GitHub has all the CI/CD credentials out there? What if
Yeah.
everything is outsourced and some hackers has everything in his hand and he now ruins your company? And there's always a rollback mechanism for that as well. So companies have their
Absolutely.
own strategies today. Companies have their own way of perceiving chaos. Like, chaos is something which builds a DevOps engineer, something like you should have faced in production issue at least once in your lifetime, or else you're not a DevOps engineer. So that's what
Yeah.
people are all about. So, we are talking deployment at scale, and we are also talking about computation at scale, something like as good as an AI workload. Inference used to require a lot of hardware, but today it's always about the edge-based deployment. There are targets that which is always there. And when you see Azure has optimized everything for us. There is there's OpenVINO drivers, there is Triton drivers, there is JUnicorn drivers, which are already there,
Mm.
and inference is almost a piece of cake. Like, it's just like eating a piece
Yeah.
of cake. It's something like you just call an API here, everything is sorted. But I wanted to
Yeah.
know, how are we perceiving technology at scale, the scalability of it, securing something which is going to go at scale, something like million hits in 1 second. How is it going to be more secure? Because organizations today are really fiddling around with, okay, at this point of time, we are getting a million hits. So let's just be full on during that time. And it's not about that. Sometimes you can even have crashes because of some buffer
Yeah. Yeah.
overloads and anything. So what is it all about when we are looking everything at scale? Because it's humongous today. Because 1 crore hits is what Hotstar had when the World Cup came in. 1 crore plus was what they had when the World Cup match was going on. So what's your perspective towards the security at the scale and the deployments at the scale?
So I'll give you an example, because I've been a part of situations wherein I've had similar experience. In fact, it's Sunday, so I'm just coming out of that experience 2 days back. Okay, so I don't know if you know it, but it's probably not that big in India, but it's quite big at this part of the world. Um, Black Friday. So when Black Friday happens, um, in general, these banks and many of these web brands like Zara, H&M, who are very heavy on Black Fridays, they get 10,000 times more hits than any other day. Okay, so imagine if you're an architect of this kind of company, how would you build your infrastructure? So it's like 1:10,000. So it's not even 1:10. It's 1:10,000. So no one goes for a normal website on a Zara, but on a Black Friday, it's going to increase by 10,000 times. Imagine that scale. It's definitely impossible for Zara to have these 10,000 capacity running across the year, right? This is where I think cloud comes in, because to a lot of extent, you are able to extend your resources on demand. Scalability is an important factor, like you mentioned, in today's world. There might not be demand always, but then there can be a certain demand, like Hotstar, or there can be some other, like e-commerce website. Even in India, there is like big billion sale or something like that, which happens, which is going to increase it by hundred of times, which makes it, of course, difficult for us to plan. Cloud can really bring scalability if you plan it well. Okay, so if you plan things well, this can really achieve. I'll give you another example, which I was. So back then I was in India. So I used to work as an on-field Microsoft engineer. So one fine day, my account manager calls me and he tells me that, there is a big company. So it's just before Diwali. There is this big company who is supposed to have a sale, and then they are down. So today evening they went down, and from tomorrow the sale starts. Now it's shocking for a big giant to go down. Fine, they are going down on a day which is non-sale day, which is a problem, but they can still manage somehow. But then we thought what might have happened. So then, my previous job was such that if there is a situation, if there's a customer in crisis, I will visit them on site. I will have my backend team to support me also while I'm visiting them on site to analyze the log, to find out what exactly is going wrong. But yeah, then I would be the face. So I went on site. We figured out that someone did a DDoS attack on the system. So DDoS is like a denial of service, wherein your system is capable of like 100 hits, you hit him like 120 times. So of course the system goes down, right? That's the situation we are in. Of course, it could have been avoided by having systems which can detect DDoS attack and could do something like that. But that was probably the first time they encountered something like this. So which kind of highlights that there is a problem, and in this space. And then of course we went ahead, we improved their security, we changed some stuff which eventually made them go live in the next 4 to 6 hours. But scalability and security becomes extremely crucial from an organization perspective. Just Black Friday, 1:10,000 DDoS attacks if you're not secured. Really, what I feel is, a lot of times, if you have to build such systems on premises, it becomes very difficult. Plus, the procurement process and everything it's much lengthy. Just the VNet can protect you with a lot of DDoS attacks. Forget about any advanced next generation firewalls. Just the VNet can protect you against a lot of DDoS attacks. So I think that's the advantage really of cloud is bringing modernization. Because if you see previously, how often we would upgrade our applications and upgrade our systems. Very, very rare. Like I was speaking to a friend of mine, and he was in tech much before me. I only entered in tech in 2013. I started working in 2013, but he was like probably working since 2006 or 4 or 5 something. He was a Microsoft engineer also. So he was telling me from 2004 till about 2015, I was primarily working on one technology only for all these years, for about 10 years. And since 2015 or 14, it has changed so much that, I'm talking about Microsoft. Maybe others might be changing in this time also, but I'm mainly talking about Microsoft. Like we had Windows servers, we had virtualization softwares, the dev was similar as well. So there was not a lot of changing, but with this cloud innovation coming in, there's a lot of changes. Like for SaaS applications get updates so much. Like every now and then there is some new feature which is released. Like I was looking at Teams. So they in Teams there was no feature for when you do a video call, they added a new feature wherein everyone can be together. And like this, they keep adding a lot of features. So it's all about the CI/CD pipelines, like continuously improving. So I think these kind of things are coming in, which would mean that you have to be innovative, you have to be updated with what exactly is happening. So I think these kind of things cloud is building in, and you will see a lot of scalability issues and scalability concerns from cloud also. But I think it's the way forward, basically, for you to be scalable and for you to be secure, and for things to be readily available. Things to be readily available is the most important part.
Yeah, simplicity is the key here, because it's like you can add firewalls, you can add this, you can add that, but what if there's no person to monitor that? What if there is chaos which is induced over a course of time? I did podcast with Rory Preddy. He's 23 plus years into Java development, and he said me DevOps is very simple. What I used to do was I used to burn the CD, go to the server, run the CD up, take the CD out, and the server was up and running with that software. And that was DevOps. Right. And today we talk about CI/CD. It's still the same old way of not burning a CD, but yet deploying it on a server. It's still the same. So simplicity is always the key. But how is AI going to be the next big thing? Because to me where I think AI can actually give you a amazing bug bounty program. Like I have read papers where bug bounty programs were much more efficient with an ML algorithm working behind it. Like it just saying, okay, this is how the pattern is. And humans are the weakest link in the entire system. Like if you can think of some great attacks which happened, like Equifax attack, which happened because of the struts vulnerability, which happened because and it ruined the way in which Apache was working, but Apache had nothing to do there. They raised the CVE, then everybody started working towards it. So, what is it all about when we are talking about an AI, which is a complex system which requires hefty compute workloads? But on the other side, DDoS is an hefty compute workload when it's being attacked. Like something like it need not have to be a ransomware attack. It can just be a simple DDoS, which can be from, John Willis always says that, a kid without his pants on is always sitting down there and thinking out, how can I ruin a company by using a Raspberry Pi? And something like that. So what is it all about when we are talking about an AI, which is a system critical system, which has huge compute, but yet it has to be cyber securitized in a different fashion?
Yes. So I think AI is crucial, okay, for any organization going forward. And the very reason being, uh, the attacks will always not be known to you. Okay. So I'm talking about security, but you can imagine it to be otherwise also. So you need some intelligence to be able to tell you that what needs to happen in this kind of situation. And I'll give you a couple of examples, okay? And I'll try to make it as less technical as possible, so the audience can understand. Uh, Password. For you, okay. Now we can see each other, okay. But before we could see each other, we were speaking on LinkedIn, right? How do you know that I am whom I'm claiming to be, right? So you assume, okay, because it's my LinkedIn account. How do you know it's not an attacker or it's not someone, not real? You can't.
Yeah.
So for you, my identity is my LinkedIn account. Okay, so that's the virtual identity. Now of course when we meet in person, we shake hand, we hug each other, it's different, you seek me. But without that, if you're talking with me on Facebook or if you're communicating with someone at workplace, you don't know that person. You know that person only based on his email address specifically, or his whatever, like if you're chatting with someone, so whatever software tools you're using, if you get a message from Zoheb or if I get a message from Vishwas in a work medium, I will assume it's you, right? It can or it might not be you. Like a lot of times back when I was in college, someone would take my phone and message someone else, and that person will think that, what, this is Zoe who messaged me something bad, right? So identity is the real threat. Now, how do you protect your identity? I think this is where AI becomes extremely crucial. So AI has two abilities. Okay. One is now I'm talking again from a security perspective, but this is applicable across since we are talking security. So from a security perspective, AI can do two things for you. One is known. So something which is known already, it can really help you block. Like if there's a known malware or if there's a known Trojan or a virus which is known, then it will be able to detect and probably respond. Something which is unknown, and then having ability for our algorithms to detect and to be able to do something more, that is something which is AI. And in today's world, it is extremely crucial for the software to be able to take decisions and to become intelligent with time, to be able to understand, like, what, this is genuine, this is not genuine. Okay, this seems to be genuine, this seems to be not genuine. I'll give you an example of a tool which we have. So we have a tool which is used for preventing password protection, okay? Protecting yourself against bad passwords. That tool runs in your environment for a few days. It detects what are genuine and what are non-genuine. and then it kind of protects you. So it's all about giving ability for the software to be able to learn and then apply that knowledge in, improving the experience of the user, be it from a security perspective, or be it some of the other things. It's all about improving the experience. Like a simple example, I use Siri, or you might be using OK Google. You would observe there is a lot of AI built into this also. It understands that, what kind of habits I have, or what do I check regularly, and then based on that, it's really able to give me results. So yeah, so to cut short, I think this is very crucial in any field, not security. I think it's very important in security because these days the way attacks are happening, there's a lot of unknown. But especially in security, it is very crucial, and so it is for some of the other things also. Uh, Now, there is an internal program which is going on within Microsoft, wherein we are trying to reduce the support workload through AI. So what we are trying to do is, so enterprises, when they face any problems, they open support tickets. We are trying to do quite a few things using known ways also. So we are trying to, like, if you go now and open a support ticket from Azure portal, it will ask you to run some diagnostic, it will collect the results, and then it will probably give you remediation also. And then in the backend, there is a lot of remediation work which happens automatically also. So I think it's all the power of AI which comes in. I feel data and AI are two next big things also, which is going to be crucial in terms of what kind of demand and how do you make sense out of data. I think these are all interrelated with each other.
Yeah, there is always that one feeling in myself that, whatever Stanford and MIT guys used to do like 15 years before, I can do it now by using a TensorFlow or a PyTorch framework. Of course, it's open source and it has its own vulnerability. And to an to an other side, since I'm also a guy who looks at the software in a very deep way, like, okay, what is the licensing? What is the CI/CD pipeline that is going behind? Like TensorFlow has
Mhm.
GitHub Actions, but PyTorch has Circle CI, Azure pipelines on it,
Yes.
which is still doing the CI for it, and CD is still happening through the GitHub Action. So I was always fascinated by the way in which we are architecting the same kind of a software, but in a different fashion. But it's something like building Uber the same way as what Uber did, and also building an Uber in a different fashion. Like something like
Yeah.
it can be a little startup which can be growing today, and it can be a heavy monolith. Now they can evolve to be a serverless. So I
Yeah.
feel that all these abstractions add in a lot of complexity, add in a lot of security threat that can be experienced in the future. So
Yeah.
what is it all about when we are talking about all these kind of software abstraction and the software reliability that we are talking today? Because something like Spring Boot is good. Is it more secure? Let's do Spring Boot security. Then what? Then what? And it's all about that. Then what? We have this. Then what? And next Ignite will be something different. Next AWS reinvent will be something which will be more devastating to understand itself, because something like 200 plus services, now it becomes 250 plus services, so on.
Yeah.
So what? So what is it all about when we are speaking about the software abstraction and the software reliability today, in terms of the security as well as some sort of a cloud perspective? Languages
Yeah.
are improving. Languages are improving. There's a lot of flavors added to it. So what's your take
Correct.
on that?
So the first thing is, I think you're right. In terms of the way the technology is going, sometimes it's difficult for us to be up to speed. In fact, to be honest, being at Microsoft, a lot of times I also struggle in being up to date with what's happening around me. So of course, there's a conscious effort at my end that I try to ensure that I'm like for my technology or what I'm working on, I try to make myself aware of the things which is happening around me. I think it's very important. And if I don't do that, for example, I will be obsolete in 1 year, because the tech, like you mentioned, it changes so much. Like I started studying Azure back in 2016. Now in 2021, if I would not have studied it for the last 4 years, I think everything has changed in the last 4 or 5 years. So, so extremely important. So personally, from a software reliability perspective. Now, again, this is not talking about work softwares, but just in general softwares. Because I work in security, I'm usually quite concerned about security. Like for example, when I so when you install any software on your phone, to a lot of extent, you are trusting that software, right? Um, Now you need to ask yourself, uh, if you have to give phone to a friend, would you trust your friend to have your phone with them? You might be concerned that, you know what, he might be able to see my account balance, he might be able to see X number of things. So what I'm trying to say is you should be concerned when you're installing any softwares. Same goes with doing anything from a technology perspective. Now, in this case, there is a baseline which you said. So of course you trust Apple or you trust Android because you're using them. And then whatever applications you install, you check their compliance, what data they can they access photos, what they're going to use it for, similar, something like that. Similarly, from an organizational perspective, also, I think when you're building applications, I don't know if it's very public, but in general, threat modeling for any application is important from a application perspective. Modeling it such a way that architecting it to ensure that it is developed correctly, first of all. Secondly, ensure it is not accessible or public directly. There is a layer, there is a WAF or something which is kind of protecting my application. So honestly, I'm usually quite concerned with security and reliability, because they both go hand in hand. So I am quite concerned if I will call something reliable or not. So generally, I'll just give you an example. I use two phones for myself. One is my work phone. Okay, work phone. As in, one is the phone which I use mostly, which has all my important applications like my net banking, my uh, probably some work related applications and stuff like that. And in the second phone, I will use it for all the nasty things which I want to do. So I will not use the second phone to do the first kind of job. The reason I'm separating it is I feel I don't feel very secure or reliable with some of those softwares in the market and what kind of data you can access. Similar to work, like, even for work related software, you should be concerned. Like what happened with Facebook, the incident a couple of years back wherein some data was leaked from Facebook. So it can get leaked from Facebook also. So a lot of things can get leaked otherwise. So reliability is a key concern, and I think there are a lot of organizations who are working towards, helping people understand what reliability is. Just giving some simple example, like when you install some Windows apps on your Windows 11, you will see where exactly this app is going to have permission on my machine. Similarly, on iPhone, if you install an app, you will see before even installing the app, there is a place wherein you can see what data it's going to access. Is it going to remain permanently in your cookies? What kind of you know what kind of access basically it might have to your phone. So yeah, I think these are reliability is a concern, and you need to be concerned to be able to build reliable softwares. So I think it's crucial that, no matter which languages you're using, you're really focused on reliability part of it and the trust part of it, and kind of build it right, or at least try to build it right with the compliance. Now, I don't know if you've heard about this, but in general, we've got compliance for softwares. Like, there are CIS compliance, there are PCS compliance, HIPAA compliance. See how you fit into those in ensuring that, someone who's consuming the software does not get affected.
That's true. That's true. I think thank you so much for such great insights. I know that you have not been working in AI and not been working on the ML field for a very long time in your career, but you actually gave a lot of insights for us to think back and say that, hey, this is there. So let's just use it. Like something like Chaos Studio from Azure these days,
Yeah.
it's important. It's important for the tomorrow's world. It might not be in a niche today, but tomorrow there will be an understanding that yes, there is a requirement of this as well. So let's start digging in, let's start learning it, and so on. So thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for giving such great insights. And thank you so much for a great podcast.
Thank you, Ishwas, for having me. I had a great time, and I wish you all the best for your
Thank you.
future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.